Hey everybody. Hi.
Hi guys.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome to Midnight GypZies and our amazing guest, Julia Drahos. How are you?
Julia.
How are you guys?
Hi Kim, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to have you guys. I've missed you, Jackie.
I know, I miss you too. I haven't seen Julia in like, what, 2 years? How long has it been, Julia?
It's been a couple of years.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Julia and I did an actual project together a couple years ago. So we met, I guess it's about 2 years ago, maybe even more than 2 years ago. I can't even remember how long ago it was. But anyway, Julia is an amazing guest that we have tonight in the East Coast. So we're doing an early show tonight. So I want Julia to explain like what she does and what her business is and everything that she has going on in her life. So tell us what's going on, Julia.
But I'm the owner of Miss Fanny's Victorian Party House. It's in Wappingers Falls, New York, which is in Dutchess County, where it's freaking cold tonight. It's been freezing. Anyway, so it is a haunted venue. So my house is on the New York State Haunted History Trail. So for about, I want to say maybe 8 years or so, I've been doing this, and where we do ghost hunts, all kinds of paranormal weirdness parties. You know, we're busy around Halloween, of course. That's our busy season. It's when all the weirdos come out of the woodwork and find me. I'm a medium, so I go to different, work with different groups, like ghost hunting groups here and there and wherever, and I have readings here, and I do all sorts of stuff. I work in funeral homes. I do small animal taxidermy. I have a shitload of animals. My pets I love.
Really like Snow White.
Kind of like that in a weird, in a dark way, you know, like a dark Snow White. Well, not the happy, cheery Snow White.
Okay,
so you're a psychic medium, and you live in an actually haunted house, Victorian house, right?
Yeah.
You do events and you work at a funeral parlor. Wow.
And a few. That's always been something I've always enjoyed. You know, not to add to my darkness, but because I really truly care about, you know, the whole, you know, loss and stuff like that. I've been through it so many times, and you know, it's always been close to my heart to work in that atmosphere. You know?
It's interesting. My oldest daughter used to want to do exactly what you do, where you work at. So when she told me, I was like, I mean, I guess I work with dead people too. So
like working with death on different levels. You know, I kind of grew up around stuff like this. I mean,
exactly.
I grew up in Sleepy Hollow, New York. My grandfather, my uncle, my father, they all worked at the cemetery, Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. And that place has a lot of history. And I was always in the cemetery on the weekends. We didn't go to the park. My parents dragged me to the cemetery, and I played in the cemetery, you know. So I was always curious. So I guess, you know, part of it is, you know, I was always very curious about what happens to you when you die, you know, all sorts, on all different levels, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that, you know, it always stuck with me. And our neighbor was a funeral director. And I was always watching him when he'd come home for lunch with his van, and always wonder if somebody was there, you know. And my mother would shut the blinds and say, "Get out there," you know. So yeah, it's always been in my family, you know, the whole death thing. But I grew up in haunted places too, so I always had experiences since I was 5 years old. So 5 was the very first time I actually experienced something. I was in Catholic school, which is a whole other horrible story, you know. That's more for like an Oprah Winfrey episode. But you know, not so horrible. But anyway,
look,
I was in church because one of the workers of the school had passed away, and I was 5 years old. I'm standing in the pews with the other kids, and I knew who the guy was who passed away, and they forced us to go to the funeral in the wake, you know, because it was recess. It was something fun to do, you know. But I'm standing there, and I see the dead person walking behind his casket, And I was confused. I'm 5 years old. I'm really confused now. And I'm trying to get the attention of, my teacher, whatever, the nun. And she's like, wait for me, kid. What's wrong with you? And I took off to chase the guy, and I couldn't find him. He wasn't there anymore. And so I ended up in the principal's office. Anyway, my mother talked to me that night, and I was trying to explain to her. And she's like, what'd you see? And I'm like, no, I saw Mr. whoever it was. I don't remember his name now. She's like, okay, like you could have, maybe it's possible. And I couldn't understand it, and I would always feel things and know things and say things. They didn't like that. The nuns hated me. So, yeah, my whole life I've had weirdness, I've learned to work with it as I got older.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually how Julie and I met. She was doing what she does as a medium on a project that we were doing. So I got to actually see her, doing her work, and she's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen.
Never know what's going to happen. So tell us a little more about your house. Okay, so is it like on the historian, thing at like, what is that called when you're on a list and?
Oh yeah, you mean on the National Register?
Yeah. Is your house like on there? And
it is for the interior, and it's on the New York State Haunted History Trail. So that's
right.
A different entity, but where if you have a haunted residence or like a restaurant or an inn or something you want to promote,
okay.
To the history.
So people like they call you and then they rent the house for like parties, or do they actually get to come stay there? Do they sleep there? Is it like kind of like one of those Airbnbs or what?
I don't do much of the Airbnb anymore because of like the COVID thing and everything. But I used to do more years ago. But mostly for very small events. I rent it out for films, for like, I have somebody doing a music video here next month. Also for the interior, because I have antiques and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as the paranormal side of it, I will advertise events now and then for ghost hunts for the public. But I try to keep it small. I haven't been doing a lot of that lately, But people do call me now and then with weird requests, which is always very interesting. I encourage weirdness, you want to what? Yeah, okay. But
I don't think it shocks us anymore, does it, Julia?
What's that?
I don't think anything shocks us anymore.
No, not anymore. No, I'm like,
anymore.
Just be careful, stuff like that. But I do a lot of readings, so people will, contact me for an appointment and, for private.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do small groups. And
nice. Now, do you do like anything online that someone? How do people contact you if they want a reading?
Oh, well, they can go to my website if they want. It's MISSFANNYS MissFannies.com. They could reach me there. You can find me on Facebook under Julia Drahos. I think you have my name written on the bottom.
Yeah. So is Miss Fanny's, is that what they call you, or where does that name come from?
Fanny was the last of the original owners of this house. So it's the Van Wyck house. The Van Wycks were just a prominent Dutch family that settled here in the 1600s, 1700s. So she was the last of the original family to live in this house. The house dates back to like 1860s, and there's actually another house down the road that's like from the 1700s that belonged to the family, and originally it was 120 acres, now down to less than 2. So so there's a lot of neat history in the whole area. There's supposedly an Indian burial town across the street. There's all sorts of stories.
So when you do your readings, are they on like the phone? Do you do them in person, online? Like, how do you do that?
I do in person. I have done on the phone. I haven't done Skype yet. I'm open to it, but I haven't. Usually, it's funny because on the phone is just as good as it is in person. Sometimes better because you don't have a visual of a person, and your brain isn't like picking things.
Yeah.
Because, you have what is however you're picking stuff up, I always think, that's one part of your brain. The other part of your brain is yours, where you have your own opinions and your own, when you first meet somebody, you automatically make, some sort of an opinion. But yeah, you don't do that over the phone. You don't see them. So that kind of helps. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Julia. So you're a psychic medium. How long have you been kind of picking up on ghosts? Whereas, like, not just ghost hunting and not just growing up, but I mean, when did you really get like, oh my God, this is like, is it your calling, or is it something that maybe it's just a hobby? Is this something that like affects you all day long, every day? Can you turn it off and on?
Yeah, you could turn it off. I mean, sometimes things will just pop out of nowhere in my mind, and the one part of your brain is second guessing, like, okay, I'm just imagining this and that, the other thing. So it's better if you're in a one-on-one, like a reading type situation, where you can get that validation back. Otherwise, you don't always really know. There's nobody there to validate. But ever since, I don't know. I mean, it's funny because it just goes back a long time, where I would block it out and be like, yeah, I'm not going to do readings. That's weird. Or I don't want people to think I'm a nut,
Right.
And my kids, when they were younger, I didn't want them made fun of and stuff like that. Like, oh, your mom's the weird lady on the corner.
Yeah.
But then
the one with the crystal ball, you mean that lady? Yeah, that's my mom.
yeah. But it was funny though, when they were in school, like I want to say like middle school and stuff like that, or even elementary school, and I started advertising the house and it was a couple TV shows here and there, and I made up business cards, and they would actually like happily bring my business cards into school and hand them out, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Aw, I love that. They're so supportive now.
Yeah, so they started doing that, and I was like, all right. And then you know what? There was so many shows that were coming out that it's almost like an accepted thing now, that you're not the weird.
Yes, exactly.
Times are changing. Thank God, finally. We're not known as the weirdos. We're actually known as the cool people now. It's like, oh my God, you really do that? It's like,
yeah, we'd all be locked up, so
Yeah.
and put
Well,
away.
I was just curious, did that trickle down into, like, do any of your kids or anyone else in your family, are they the same? Do they have the same gifts that you have?
Well, my aunt would always tell me stories about some ancestors or relatives from way back, that this one woman in the old country, was known as like the witch lady of the town and stuff like that. But and actually, my one aunt, she doesn't like that. She kind of always says she's known things and she doesn't want anything to do with it. Kind of pushed it away. And yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, you can either work with it and accept it, and
Yeah.
or you could just forget it. Kind of ignore it and forget about it. And I think everybody has an intuition or knowing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So it's really like, okay, how much do you want to really work with it? And that's the thing, But it is possible. Everybody can do this. I really believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So are you still interested in like working on TV shows, or are you interested in anything like that? Or are you just more interested in doing things like more local at home? So people can kind of understand.
Of course I want a TV show, damn it. Everybody wants to do that,
Yeah.
I would love for it to be like a show where it's really real and honest and open, and just like, not this, like, what was that?
Yeah.
It's not like that, you know that. It's curious. We want to know. We want to, I scare myself sometimes. It's kind of creepy. Like, when I do readings sometimes, it's not all the time. I mean, nobody's ever 100%, but
Yeah.
I say things and then I'm like, oh God, that's really weird, and the person will be like, yeah. And it's strange. Where does it come from? I don't think anybody really can understand it.
I've been asking myself that my whole life.
It's really interesting.
So I'm curious because ever since literally right before COVID started, I started my situation with how I am became very, very strong right before COVID, and has been the whole time COVID's been going on. I'm just curious, are you feeling that you're picking up on more with what's going on? Are you having like weird dreams, or is anything different or more than normal lately? Because mine is, and I'm wondering if like that's kind of going around with like other people who are sensitive.
Well, I always have weird dreams, but I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, you know
Yeah.
what? I think people are, because everybody's home so much or whatever. Nobody's getting out and doing different things to keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
And going places and traveling a lot. So you're kind of like just more thinking more. I think that's what it is. And you're just more, it's just more quiet and more in tune to stuff. And that's probably, you know, what it is. But yeah, I always have weird ass dreams.
I've been having strange ones this whole last year. So I've been curious, is it just me, or are other people who are sensitive or mediums, I mean, are they all picking up? Because my dreams are literally happening about like what's going on in the world. And so it's made me wonder, is it just me, or like everyone like me? Because I ask people who aren't, and like they say, oh, well, I'm normal, I don't have these things. And I'm like, well, I'm normal too. And they're like, no. I'm like, well, I'm trying, okay. But has anything in your family like affected you guys since COVID has started? Are you guys all doing well with health and all that?
Yeah, we've all been pretty good. Yeah. You know, we've had like some close calls, or my daughter had it. We're in the middle of December, but it was fine. It was just like a really bad cold for her, and we kept it contained because I'm a maniac with my Lysol. And I put her in the room, and she only had to use the one bathroom, and I put her food by the door like a prisoner. So
yeah,
kept the can on that. But otherwise, other than that, no, we've all been pretty good. The kids, you know, work from home. I mean, on the computers for school, but one's going off soon, and see what happens, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know that you have a YouTube channel, and is this something that you're is this something that you're keeping up with? Is it just something that you kind of just shoot out videos whenever you feel like it, or are you doing a show or a podcast or anything?
I can't keep up with it. I try, and I try to stay focused and to do one thing, and I don't, and I'm all over the place, you know. But I do a lot of like joke videos and comedy stuff. Like my dream job would be to be on like Saturday Night Live and to be like a character, do characters. Like that would be my ultimate dream job.
You'd fit perfectly in there. You would fit in perfect there.
I would love to do.
You're so funny. You crack me up. Sometimes I'll just be like doing nothing, and I'm like, all of a sudden there's a Julia video, and I'm like, oh wait, I have to watch this.
My coworkers are looking at this like, oh God, or they think I'm entertaining. I don't know. Either way, I really don't care. You hit that age where you're like, I don't care. You know.
Yeah. I was actually telling Kim recently how you were driving. I think you were in the hearse, and you had the body in there, and you're on your way out to like the cemetery, and you got lost, and then all these people are following you, and I was dying. It was like a year ago. It's so funny.
Well, I had a story about. No, I know what it was. It wasn't a video. It was probably me making a video about it. No, I passed the cemetery one day, and I had like 20 people behind me. You know. Like if I'm in charge, what could go wrong, you know? But,
in the middle of all this, she's like, "I'll just do a Facebook Live."
Light of things, you know, and what happens?
It's just funny.
You do. You know.
Julia, I noticed that did you meet Elizabeth Warren?
Oh yeah, that was a few years ago, before she became sick. Yeah. And I remember, like, I wanted to ask her so badly about the Amityville Horror House, you know, because, like, I'm on the fence about it, and I think it was exaggerated, but I did get to go to the house, and I don't know, who knows? But back then, was there something? Yeah, probably. It doesn't mean that every family that lives there is going to have something happen, you know. But, and she said, yeah. She said that really messed me up. She said.
Oh wow. Now, where exactly did you meet her?
Oh, I met her at a dinner thing there in Connecticut. They used
nice.
to dinners and get-togethers, and went to see, like, they had like a little museum in their basement where they have some of the all the artifacts and things like that. And I don't think they do that anymore. But yeah, we get to because I wanted to see the doll. Everybody wants to see the doll.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you have a picture with
love
the
creep
doll.
I collect them. So
Oh really?
yeah, and I'm just like, okay. So part of me is like, well, but I don't know. But the thing is, even though I think I wasn't sure, but I still wasn't going to take a chance. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to tap on the glass.
So do you collect haunted items or do you just collect dolls?
I mean, people have given me stuff that they're like, oh, I really don't like this, or something wrong with this. I'm like, oh, I really want it then. But I just collect weird things that have like just a
is anything known as a haunted item, or are they just weird things?
Yeah, there's some over the years that people have given me or sold to me, and I'm like, all right, whatever, let me give it a whirl. I mean, I try not to put too much thought into it. I think the more attention you give something, or you focus on something,
Absolutely.
So you actually went to the Warrens Museum, right?
I'm sorry?
You went to the Warrens Museum and you saw the Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
And did you get anything? And what's your experience of the museum and the doll?
Oh, it was really cool. It was interesting. They had a lot of interesting stuff. Everything had a story, The doll, I don't know. I mean, I believe there's something. There could be. There could have been. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I didn't go touching on it, So that's something you don't do. Even, why, poke the bear,
Exactly.
So
what would you consider the most haunted location that you've ever gone to or investigated, and done anything with, like, your mediumship or anything like that?
Well, it's funny, like when you say the most haunted location, I mean, sometimes places can be haunted and okay, and other places can be haunted, And I just remember this house that when I was growing up in. I mean, it wasn't. It was a rental. We didn't own it, but it's just the most horrible things happened there. And I was a kid at the time, though. I mean, I was like 16, 15. And just not.
What kind of things? What kind of things happened?
Well, one time I was, I remember I like overslept, and my parents had gone out. They weren't home, and I kept hearing like drawers opening and closing, almost like I thought somebody broke into the house. So I was scared to come out of my bedroom, and I kept hearing drawers opening, closing, but then the sound was like a continuous same sound, like closing, and I was like, all right, if somebody was going through stuff, it wouldn't sound like that. And I was confused. So I said, all right, and I kept hearing it. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to open my door. I walk out into the hall. So I did. I opened my door, and then it got silent, totally silent. So I walked down the hall, and I'm just standing there, and I'm waiting to hear something. And I heard something get really close to me, like when you could just feel something getting close to you. This voice that was so deep I couldn't even make out what it said, and it was right in my ear, and my ear like felt hot, and I froze. I freaking froze, and I ran out of the house, locked myself out, to explain to my neighbor, listen, can I wait here until my parents come home and lock out of the house, And another one, actually my own house that I live in now, 3:00 in the morning, I woke up, I look at the clock, I'm like, oh good, it's only 3:00, I can go back to sleep. I was fully aware what time it was, everything. Something caught the corner of my eye, and I looked down at the floor, and there's a young male in a fetal position on my floor. To me, he looked like he could have been a slave at the time. He was not in he was not in normal clothes. He had different, old-fashioned clothes on. Young black male in a fetal position on the floor.
Wow.
Contact. I saw the white of his eyes. No joke. My whole body got cold. Freezing and shaking, and I was sweating at the same time, and I tried to wake up my boyfriend, and he was like, yeah, okay, and I'm like, you don't understand, and then I looked down again, and then boom, nothing.
Wow.
So, and that was the most vivid, and the most recent one.
But do you think you've ever seen that was probably the most that was
vivid. Damn vivid. That was
wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I second guessed myself for a little bit. I said, was I in a dream state? Could I have been in a dream state? But I remember looking at the time and being, it wasn't stuff like that. And then I don't know.
That's really interesting. I actually asked this question to a lot of people that I know that are in the paranormal. Do you think that it's the location that's haunted, or do you think that it's you?
Well, for this place, I think it's the location. It may not all be the house itself. It could be the land. Could it be me too? I don't know. That could be the case sometimes, where things just attract to you because they know you can sense them, kind of thing. Maybe that's all part of being a medium too, that they know that they can talk to you, so they're gonna gravitate towards you like a magnet. That could be possible too, but nobody really knows. We don't know. That's
I used to wonder as a child, why me? How come everybody can't see what I see? When you're very young, you have no understanding of why these things are happening, and then you try to tell people, and they just look at you like, okay, maybe you were dreaming, you're crazy. They don't take us seriously. So there's long periods of time for most people who they don't do anything about it until they're older, because they have to finally get to a place where they feel comfortable that they even have the gift. And so most of us go through that, and then we'll be in our usually 30s, 40s, sometimes even 50s, or maybe even older before they even speak up and say anything. So did you go through a period where you didn't want to talk about it or tell people, or have you always been open about it?
I think I've always been pretty open. I used to tell my mom stuff all the time, and her parents died when she was 10 years old, so obviously I never knew them. And I would tell her stories, and I would tell her, oh, I had this dream, but it really wasn't a dream. It was just something going through my mind, in the middle of the day. And I'm like, So I'd say to her, oh, did you have this and that growing up? And did this look like this? And do you remember there was a lady downstairs that lived downstairs from you, and she used to give you candy all the time, and blah, blah, blah. And I'd tell her all these things. She'd be like, oh my God, I forgot about her, and how did you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I had a dream. And she'd say, would be open to it and say, oh, tell me more. What else? What else do they say? So it's always kind of been, whatever. It's all right. The only place it wasn't accepted is when I was in Catholic school, and that's why I'm very anti-religion. I'm almost like an atheist, pretty much, because I just, there's got to be something else, and I just think you don't really have to follow a religion as long as you're a good person. That's how I brought my kids up, and because everything I believe in goes against whatever,
So Kim and I actually like to talk about past lives a lot. Do you have any past life experiences, memories of anything that you know about yourself?
Ever since I was a kid, I always would gravitate towards certain antiques, certain time periods, stuff like that. And I think that has a lot to do with people's past lives, whether we realize it or not. I think we would go crazy if we really had true memories. Can you imagine? I mean, it would be kind of cool, but also not. But I've always had this feeling that I'm somewhere stuck between the late 1800s and the 20s. And I had this psychic tell me that I was a flapper in the 1920s. And I was like, ooh, that sounds like fun. That sounds like me. And she's like, and you lost I lost everything during the Depression. That I had a lot of money and I lost everything. And wow. I'm like, whoa. And I said, yeah, that kind of, it kind of made sense for me because I have a lot of canned goods in the cabinets. But anyway, it's like I hoard food. I don't know what it is in the cabinets. And I'm just joking, but it's true though. So who knows if that really has something to do with it? But it makes me realize, hey, all the experiences I've had and feelings I've had over the years, and the the different music I like and the clothes, and I collect all kinds of like vintage clothes and stuff like that. I just love it, and there could be something to it. I did go for past life regression a couple times in the past.
Oh, wow.
Just for curiosity, and it was interesting. Can I say it was definite? I don't know, but it was definitely interesting.
It's made me wonder because you like very vintage things.
Yeah, I love my old shit. I have like an old ice box in my kitchen that
Yeah,
an ice box. Obviously.
It made me wonder if you consider yourself like an old soul. Because, yeah, she has.
I've been around, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a couple times.
Not my first rodeo, I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like past lives, because I know that whatever you were into in past lives, for some reason you're into it in this life. Because like some of my past lives, I collected herbs. I was a healer, and then in this life, I don't know why, I was just picking herbs and drying them and saving them in jars and labeling them. I don't know why. And then I finally found out it through one of my past lives was doing that. So. It's kind of like reliving, you're kind of reliving yourself.
Did you have like past life regression or did someone tell you?
Yeah, I've had my past lives done twice by two, psychics well known around the world. And then through my meditations, I'm able to come up and pull out past lives on others as well as myself. I mean, I just have memories of being these people and looking in the mirror and thinking, oh my God, why am I seeing that? It's just crazy. So I've been able to pick up on those things as well. Crazy.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I think that's what makes us gravitate towards certain things,
I think that's true, Julia, and as well, people as well. So I think people reconnect.
There's also something I was reading about called genetic memory, where, so, and when I read about that, I was like, oh, maybe there isn't past lives. Maybe it's just genetic memories from your ancestors and your past relatives.
That's a theory too. Do you want to tell us about that? Tell us a little bit more about that.
I don't know much about it. It's just that it's like your DNA, like whatever makes you, it's just ingrained in you, it's in your, it's in your blood, same idea. If your great grandparents were whatever, doctors or whatever it was, or they had these certain hobbies or things they did for a living, and for some reason, it's carried on in your genetics.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Matter of fact, even things like little things, like for instance, my 3 older kids, they don't really have a relationship with their dad. And so my youngest of my older 3, she doesn't remember him at all. And it's funny because she looks the most like him, but she acts the most like him. Like she has these facial expressions that are identical to him. And then she like shakes her legs and her feet all the time. And he used to do that all the time. And it's so funny to me because it's like, or they'll say something and it'll be like dead on, like what he would do or say. And I'm just like, that is such a trip. It's like you're him without knowing him.
Right. Yeah.
It's so weird. Yeah.
Same type of idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's like somebody's DNA. Like if you get a man and woman together and they each have two separate, like it's like two separate ribbons. If you pull apart a ribbon from your mom and you pull apart a ribbon from your dad and then you intertwine them, you're going to get their DNA and you're going to kind of try to relive some of the events, and you will go back 7 generations. Like your DNA right now has go back seven generations. And so that's why a lot of times, when we have like alcoholism or other kind of things in our DNA, it's our job now to weed those out and to retrain our DNA so that our future generations don't keep, carrying those things forward.
Exactly. And you don't keep collecting canned goods. Yeah.
Right.
And you don't keep collecting the canned goods in the
That's like exactly why they say history repeats itself, you know?
It
It's
literally does.
literally carrying on exactly how they were and how they thought and who they are as people. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's funny because even at my age, you'd think by now I'd like, know all the simple things in the world. But sometimes my kids will even say something and I'll just kind of go like, huh, like, how come I don't get that and know that by now? And they're 7 and 12. And it's like,
They're on the computers more and everything, and they understand
yeah.
technology more, and they teach me stuff too. So
Yeah. Well, my 12-year-old son loves to watch our show and he talks about it with me and he'll say, "Oh, you remember when you guys talked about this or that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he'll get like real deep with me about it. And it's funny because my son actually does, I think, have the same gift that I think it trickles down from my dad and went to me and it went to my son. And so he talks about stuff with us all the time. And he's talked about past lives and he's talked about this, that, and whatever paranormal stuff. I think he'll probably end up in the paranormal. But it's interesting to see your child say things and it's just like, wow, I've been in paranormal for 23 years. How come I don't know this and you do?
and you hope that they come up with some sort of new gadget that in the future that actually, well, I don't want to say actually works, but actually, physically shows something or whatever you think by now they would have. But
Yeah. I honestly believe that our senses pick up more than any piece of equipment. I think equipment is more of a backup, like,
Yeah.
I feel this, I sense that, and the equipment's backing that up. But, do we rely on all the equipment? No, because it's equipment, it's just, something with batteries in it or whatever. And it's very interesting to me to think about how so many people rely on all this new equipment and yet they forget to just use their own senses to, figure out like what's going on. So it's very interesting to me because I guess when you're like us, where, I consider myself, a medium and you're a medium and Kim, we all have the same sort of like sensitive, intuitive things going on in our lives. And it's just my son's trying to get in the room. So
I haven't been bothered by now.
But
the equipment, like, for instance, when you're growing up and you're having experiences and you think you see things and hear things, you don't want to tell anyone. They're going to think you're crazy. But then you get older and you like go ghost hunting and you use this equipment and these voice boxes and things. And all of a sudden it's confirming what you're hearing and seeing. So therefore you're becoming more confident in your abilities. And then like, for instance, I think we're all born with these abilities. And then back in the day, we used to have, our parents used to say, "Oh, it's your imagination." So, you just kind of tuned it out. You didn't want to talk. But more and more, there's more and more people that are talking about it. So kids are going to start, letting that out more and talking about it more, which I think is amazing. I don't think we should turn that off in our kids at all.
Yeah, when you're young, when kids are really young, they have more of an open mind,
Yeah.
As you get older, that closes up a little bit. I remember my daughter when she was 2 years old. Like my mother died 20 years ago before she was born. And she was 2, and she was having this conversation with me about, I was playing with grandma yesterday, and I'm like, oh, you mean like last weekend? Yeah, you were with Daddy's mom, his mother. And she's like, no. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, no. And she was mad at me. And I was like, well, who? What are you talking about? And she pointed to a picture of my mother. And I was like, oh. And I was like, that's cool. That's all right. I'm not going to argue with you. But to this day, she doesn't remember that. She's 20 now.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, do you remember the time? She's like, no. And so I'm like, oh, okay. But she was so adamant about that, though. And, so she knew who she was talking about. So it kind of made me feel good. I was like, all right, maybe she is. But she did see my mom, and my mom visited her. And yeah, you hear that a lot. And there's a new series on Netflix now called Surviving Death. And I recommend you watch it. It's really cool. It's got a few episodes. The first one is about what do you call it, near-death experiences, and then the second episode is about mediums, and the last one I believe is about past lives. So
wow. And what was it called?
What's Surviving Death?
Surviving Death?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. And I really got into watching that, and then maybe I love watching stuff like that are real true documentaries, because then there's real people telling their stories, and makes it more believable that it's not just a movie about something or whatever. These are real stories, so I really enjoyed it.
So have you ever considered like writing a book or
I have, and my brain just doesn't function that way. I want to write so badly. I've started doing stuff like that, and then I put it down, and then I'm just not. I don't know what it is. I'm better talking than I am writing.
Yeah.
I want to, but we'll see. Maybe one of these days, And then it'll be on the bargain bin, outside in Barnes and Noble.
You gotta go in the store and switch it out, put it in the front.
So,
well, how is COVID affecting Miss Fanny's Victorian Party House?
I'm sorry?
How is COVID affecting Miss Fanny's Victorian Party House?
I've just been keeping it kind of on the down low and doing small groups. I'm not doing like public events, obviously. If people call me for like a very small group for something, I usually do it, and I say okay. Yeah, you just have to be careful about it. I mean, I don't want to have 20 people over now. Maybe. Yeah. Hopefully,
so when you guys do those parties, is it like your family's involved? Do they like dress up, or are they characters, or?
No, it's not like that. It's just, when I say parties, I mean like people do like their private little events. Like say they have they want a girls' night out or something, and they want to do like a little ghost hunt, or or have it in a haunted place, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, got it.
Well, how haunted is your house? I mean, what goes on there?
Well, there is a few different ideas of different spirits that are here. One is, I believe Annie is here. She died in 1988. Her grandfather built the house. I think he's here because people have seen like an older man that kind of describes him when I've seen pictures of him. There's kids here. There's like at least 2 little kids. We've had a lot of EVPs over the years. I love the EVPs. They creep me out, but they also are really interesting because they're so clear. One is a child, and that says "mommy" in this little kid voice, and it's like, wow, okay, that was up in the third floor. And then you have the older lady who's like kind of says things like, "This is my house," like as if like, what are these people doing here and stuff like that.
Wow.
That really interesting. Yeah. But I think she's really protective of the house and stuff like that. And she was an interesting lady. She in the 1950s, she had her pilot's license, and she would fly out of the local here to go to her job. And I'm like, what? Who did that then? It's crazy. And
yeah, especially back then.
Yeah, and she was into theater and dance and all sorts of stuff. Like really interesting lady. Yeah, and there's also like I said, there was that other dude I met in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. I don't know who he was.
Yeah,
exactly. So I don't think it's all the house. I think it's some of it is the land and the I don't know if it's just history, like repeating itself, not repeating itself, but like the repetitive playing itself out, or who knows? I have all kinds of ideas of what could be, and I think it's just the land. Yeah.
Well, earlier you were telling us that you have these really interesting animals. Tell us about those.
Oh, I have many. I have, I do some wildlife rehabilitating and stuff now and then, and I do have a raccoon. He's my little man. I love him so much. I'm a freak. And I have pigs. I have mini pigs, and they're very smart, and they go in the litter box. And I have dogs, of course, 4 dogs. I have, oh God, what else? Chickens, geese. We've had many animals come and go over the years.
You have a squirrel?
I've raised many squirrels. They're all out in the wild now. But they come to the window every day, and I put their nuts out in the little thing, sitting in the window, and I watch them. So like you're like sitting on the toilet, and then here's the squirrels in the window. I'm like, hi,
Yeah. This is what I meant by like when we first met Julia and we learned about all these animals we had. We were like, "Who are you, Snow White?" Like, animals that just come up to them like that. It's so interesting.
I enjoy them, and they take my stress away. You know, better than people, right?
Yeah, that's really sweet.
So much better.
So, do you ever do like any online, like you know, like we talked about readings earlier, but nowadays with COVID, everybody's doing like online events and different things.
About it, I should do that, you know, but I don't know. I should.
Yeah.
Have like virtual events. Hi, David.
Like an open ghost.
Hi, everybody.
Virtual night or something.
Yeah. So
event.
Comments, like my contacts are a little weird tonight. So yeah, Kim and I are actually we're gonna try to put like an event together. We're not exactly sure when or where or what. Probably somewhere near Las Vegas is my guess, because she lives there and I live in Southern California, and it's a lot more fun to go to Vegas. So
New York.
Yeah, would you be interested in maybe like doing an event? Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, because I'm thinking we have had some really amazing guests. Literally, ever since we started our show, for the last couple months or so, we have had one amazing guest after another. And I think it would be so much fun if we could put together a really awesome event and then have
David said we could do it at the Omen House.
We can do it at the Omen House?
All right, it's a deal.
David, if we can do this event at your house, it is down. I'm going to be
on. We're there.
Have you ever met David Omen from the Omen House?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you know where the Sharon Tate Manson murder situation? Okay, so David lives in a house like right above, like I think it's even maybe like what 3 or 4 houses down the hill or something. So I'm sure I'm probably saying this wrong, but anyway, yeah, he lives on the same street. Well, technically, I guess they changed the address now, but they took the house down and rebuilt it. Anyway, we were there. We were at David's house. We did a show there. God, when was that? It was like the night before New Year's Eve.
It was like the 30th of December.
Yeah. We had the most amazing night there with activity. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 3 houses down the drive from Sharon's house it was. And so yeah, if you can come out and do an event with us, that would be fabulous. We'd love that.
That'd be really interesting. I was just watching the documentary last night about that, about the whole murders and stuff.
Oh, really?
Would you be able to come out here, Julia? Is that something you like to do, travel?
Yeah, I'll leave right now.
We always come up with these amazing ideas during our shows, and we do them. So
yeah, when we say we're going to do it, we do it. So, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to sort of like figure out maybe when COVID starts to settle down, because we don't obviously want to, drag people together and then no one can come, or we can't go do anything fun. So we're kind of up in the air right now with like what to do. But if David says we can have it at his house, please, David.
Well, let's get it together. We'll figure it out. We'll do something.
He's comfortable with that. But if we can't totally do it at the house, then maybe we can make his house one of the places to go. But we had some of the most active nights I think he's had in a really long time there. So I think it's posted on our YouTube channel. If not ours, it's posted on David's. And Ed wants to know, Ed said, still waiting for David's recipe for those ribs that night. David, you better give Ed that recipe. David is an amazing barbecue guy.
Hey, I wouldn't mind going out to Miss Fanny's Victorian party house.
Warmer. You don't want to be out here now. It's freaking cold. But
is there a lot of snow?
You can come stay.
Yeah, we had an amazing doorknob rattling. David's talking about it. Yeah, David, 2 thumbs up on that idea. All right. So keep that idea open because we're gonna put an amazing group together. And so, like, of course, right now, like I said, we don't know when and where because of the whole COVID thing. But as soon as that like dies down, then we'll have to fly you out, and then we'll do like a fun weekend event.
Sounds like fun.
All right.
And then when it warms up, let's definitely get out there to her house.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I used to live in upstate New York. How close are you to like upstate?
Well, when you say upstate, you're probably thinking more north, like Albany. And I'm a few hours from Albany. I'm more south. So I'm like I said, Poughkeepsie, near Poughkeepsie. I'm like an hour from New York City, or a little more than an hour to New York City, actually. Maybe an hour and a half away from New York City.
Well, what's it like in New York City? Are you guys still, is it still weird there?
Well, I haven't been in the city actually since the COVID thing started, so I know it is. I mean, a lot of people are still working remotely from home, stuff like that. My cousin works in the city, and she's still at home on her computer. So, yeah, it changes all the time. You know, it's like you said, some restaurants are open for just takeout, some are open. You can come in and sit and eat. You know, it's all different all over the place.
Yeah, very similar to where we live.
Yeah.
So are you still ghost hunting, or are you kind of just doing the mediumship stuff?
Just basically doing the medium thing lately. I haven't had any. I had some ghost hunts in October, people's private events, not public events. That where they were small groups, and yeah, people have been coming. The winter slows down a little bit, and after October, November, it starts to slow down, and after the holidays and everything. But it should pick up again. I've been getting emails, here and there about inquiring about what's available and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have this question that I'd like to ask all our guests. What do you think the whole paranormal ghost hunting community needs to better itself? Because, some people are saying this is getting old or that's getting old. What can we do to refresh it so that it, becomes more positive and fun? What do you think?
Everybody's in competition. It's so silly. There's a lot of shows, and everybody wants to be popular and this and that and the other thing, and we're just getting away from the true ghost hunting thing. I mean, does everybody want to make money? Yeah, of course, but they should keep it real, keep it more real.
More real? Like give us some examples.
Well, I mean, you just gotta watch any of those shows.
Yeah. It's, to me, I say this all the time. I wish more people like Kim and I, one of the reasons why we love having guests on and promoting everything that they do is because we want people to be more supportive and happy for people and whatever it is that they're doing or they have going on. It doesn't matter if it's the paranormal, if it's Bigfoot, if it's aliens, if it's who cares? We just want them to know that there are people like us in the community who really truly are supportive, and we're not jealous of what they have going on, and we're not hating on them. And it's not as bad as, well, I guess some people think it's bad and there's a lot of drama, but it's like, don't involve yourself, don't give it air, and it won't breathe and it'll die and it'll go away. But anyway, honestly, it's just, I wish more people would really, support each other and be happy for each other, honestly. Because it's not easy. Julia and I, we worked on a project together, and it's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of just like, what's going on? You feel like you're in the dark. You feel like you're lost. And so it's not just the people who really do get, the shows. Like, people don't realize what they go through to get those shows. It's a lot of hard work, and we've been there, and not everything works out. So
I think if we were train wrecks and stuff, or the 8,000-pound life or whatever, There's a lot of shit out there, and I don't get it. I don't get what sells anymore.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I've given up on trying to figure out.
Well, the people who are, truly going to go out there and do something real and support each other and actually, enjoy working together and not try to make it just about themselves, they're the ones who are going to grow. So, we really do love what you do. And, it's wonderful that I get a chance to, do something with you again. And I really do hope that you'll be able to make it out when we have our event and get to hang out again. And
I'm having fun too, gotta have fun with it.
Yeah. It's gotta be fun, I mean, if you're not having fun, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
So many people over the years doing this that all these kind of things. It's just been fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last words, Julia? I love your positive attitude and you're wanting to make it fun and everything. And any last words for the paranormal community?
Nah. I don't know. I'm just gonna go sit with my dog in a few minutes here and take my shower. No,
paranormal can piss off.
Everybody can go, what themselves. But anyway, I'm here. You know where to find me. I can get on my website, MissFannies.com. You can find me on Facebook. I'm not really on Instagram. I can't figure out Twitter. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm trying, I'm trying to tweet and twit and twat and twat.
I never could figure out Twitter.
To do Instagram. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just whatever. Who has time? I don't know. But I'm trying. But anyway,
how do you like for people to reach out to you if you or if they're interested in a reading, or if they're just interested in following you, if they're interested in watching your YouTube? Let us know how they can find you.
Follow me. That's creepy. No, I'm kidding. Follow me. No, you can go on my website, MissFannies.com, or you can look it up on Facebook, Miss Fannies, Victorian Party House, and brothel. No, I'm just kidding. Victorian Party House. She had a lot of events and parties and things here and dance. There was a barn that used to be here. They used to do barn dances. I found out later on. I was like, oh, cool. So she did events too. So I ended up somehow doing the same thing with the house without realizing it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, all kinds of stories. But yeah, MissFannies.com. And my phone number's on there. You can email me. You can call me, but don't call me at like 2 a.m. And I always get weird calls sometimes. Those are fun.
Yeah. So she's on the East Coast in New York, people. So, respect that time or you're getting blocked.
Right. So I'm open for, all sorts of shenanigans here.
Oh, let's do it.
Yes.
Well, I'm just going to tell you straight up, Julia, you are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with you when we met you. You're 2 years, I think it was like 2 years ago on a set where we worked together. And you make funny videos and you're a kick to be around. So I can't wait to see you again. Looking forward to you coming out and doing something special with me and Kim.
Yeah, I hope I see you guys. Awesome. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on our show.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right.
Good luck with everything.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, you too.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Julia.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.